And our lane assignments: Jerry Marcy of the University of Nebraska in lane 1, Tyrone Watkins of Kansas State in lane 2, Timmy Thomas of Oklahoma State in 3, Ken Waller with the fastest preliminary time in 4, Jason Rouser of Oklahoma in 5, Dave Knight of Iowa State in lane 6, Thomas Molnar in lane 7, and in lane 8, Michael King of Missouri. And Molnar's a guy to watch out in lane 7, but as Drew said, he's been hampered by the leg injury.
Yeah, it made him pass up the indoors, and that makes it difficult. But if you'll watch him, and if he goes out very, very strong, which he is doing, you watch what he's doing. He has really moved up forward of the field.
And on the inside as well, Ken Waller.
Well, watch Jason Rouser, number 1427 in lane 5.
I'll tell you what, there's really some sprinting going on between Timmy Thomas of Oklahoma State and Rouser also. Jason Rouser moving up as well. Molnar dropping back. But in lane 4, Ken Waller and Jason Rouser of Oklahoma going neck and neck down the stretch.
I'll tell you what, it is so close.
And Rouser has a half-step lead, now a full stride, and he'll win it.
Jason Rouser, great performance. Came into this meet with a 45.5 under his belt and one indoors. Amazing athlete.
Unofficially 45.22. Take a look at him coming out of turn 3. Rouser leading at that point over Waller. Timmy Thomas on the inside from Oklahoma State. And then Waller starting to pull up even. But Rouser seems to find a second wind right there and takes that stride. And look at him really stretch it out.
A junior out of Lawton, Oklahoma, just looks terrific, and he knows how to lean.
And Drew Goodman has our winner down on the field.
Okay, guys, thanks very much. With 100 meters to go, were you confident that you'd be strong enough to get across first?
Oh, yes, sir, I was. I feel like there's not too many people in the Big 8 who can out-sprint me, so I kind of waited too late to kick because I went out real relaxed, too relaxed. The only that I normally do. That felt good.
Preliminaries, you were a little bit behind. You were in second place as far as qualifying times. No concern, though.
No whatsoever. None at all.
Okay, enjoy it.
Okay.
Let's go back up top, Duke.
There's a look at the final times. 45.19 for the winner, Jason Rouser. But Nebraska picks up points with a second, a third, and a sixth. Ken Waller, Tomas Molnar, and Jerry Marcy all picking up points, and that really helps Nebraska in the team race.
Yeah, these guys are quick, and as you look at the team scores for the men, something occurs to me. Track is more than just lacing on your spikes and going out on that track. These coaches are now becoming tacticians, trying to figure out where to put their people and how to make points. Look how close it.
Nebraska runners in the final 8. Yolanda Johnson of Colorado in lane 3. Latricia Joyner from Kansas State in 4. Kim Walker from Nebraska in 5. Defending champ Denise Lucas in 6. Thelma Franks in 7. Katrina Brooks from Kansas in lane 8. But in the prelims, 3 of the top 5 times came from Nebraska runners.
Oh, and I tell you, there's some great athletes in this particular field. All through lane 3 through 6 are really where you're going to find the focal point. Look at Denise Lucas, University of Nebraska, in lane 6 right there, and she's a junior and hails from Omaha.
11:99 was her time in the prelims. She ran an 11:54 last year in the finals.
At 11:57. Her right shoulder is, of course, Kim Walker.
Lucas off to a good, strong start, but coming on strong is Kim Walker, and Walker is going to pull away from the field.
And she did.
It'll be Walker, Joyner, and Lucas, so a 1-3 finish for Nebraska. There's a good look at the champion, Kim Walker. Finished 4th a year ago in the outdoors. And she didn't really get a good start out of the blocks. Denise Lucas had a much better start.
In fact, Yolanda Johnson had the best start of them all, but then she just moves skillfully to the front.
Boy, right there at about the 60 to 70 meter mark, she really turned it on.
And look at that. That's just interesting. Just 1, 2, 3. And she's just racing going away.
And Drew Goodman has our winner down on the track, Kim Walker.
Kim, you didn't exactly get the greatest start in the world. Did that concern you initially?
Yes, my starts are the worst, so I'm real concerned about it.
Did you any doubt in your mind about 50 meters that the race was yours?
No, I know. Well, I'm not being cocky or nothing, but the beginning of my race is the worst. So I know if I have at least 5 yards, I can catch it.
How low can you go if you get the start worked out?
I don't know, probably 11 flat, 10.99 maybe.
Kim, enjoy it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Kim Walker of Nebraska.
Thank you, Drew. There's a good look at our winner, Kim Walker, and she said, my starts are notoriously terrible, and she still manages to pull out of that, so she knows where she can pick up a lot of time.
I think, Coach can take a look at that because she is a senior. She's going to be leaving the school, and I think she's got to be congratulated. She improved from a 4th place position last year in this same event. Of course, she won the indoor 55-meter dash and beat several of these athletes there as well. But you certainly can say that once she gets into stride, she is very powerful and she's fluid, and by at least a half a second.
Well, if Kim Walker can find her way to improve by a half second, she would certainly threaten the collegiate record of 10.78 set by Don Sowell of LSU back in 1989. But a great race today, and she really pulled away halfway down the stretch.
Well, you know what? I guess Marlene Otte of Nebraska back in 1980 when she set the record of 11.2, it's safe for another year. Kim Walker of Nebraska carried
off of Kansas State in lane 3. Obinna Iregbu, who was the anchor man on that Iowa State winning team in the 4x100, is in lane 4. He had a 10.37 in the preliminaries. Anthony Atkinson of Nebraska is in lane 5. James Cobb in lane 6. Ernest Green in lane 7. Eric Mitchell of Colorado in lane 8. And there's a look at the collegiate and Big 8 records along with the track record.
Now there's Obinna Iregbu getting down in his blocks, and he is in lane 4.
In the gold jersey. And there's a look at Travis Grant of Nebraska. And this might be a little revenge here for Travis Grant. He couldn't catch him in their ankle leg. A good start.
We're watching Iregbu in lane 4.
But Kansas State's Thomas Randolph and Iregbu. Now Iregbu pulling away.
Iregbu.
Travis Grant coming on. And Travis Grant finishing second.
Obinna Iregbu from Nigeria. He's a 2-time All-American and 2-time Big 8 champion. Last year, this event was won by Anthony Atkinson from Nebraska. Let's take a look at the race again. Come out of the blocks.
He was a little slow, but look at him turn it on right there.
Well, I know, and it looked like the other guys from the other teams got a better start, but then all of a sudden he found a new gear and he just fired down that runway. And he knew it.
Oh, he knew it for sure. And Drew Goodman has the winner.
Okay, Duke, thanks very much. How much did that anchor leg propel you to victory here?
A lot. A whole lot. I mean, the thing really got me excited. And after the 4x1, I knew I was in shape. I mean, I felt ready to go for the 100. So I'm so glad we won the 4x1. It really got me pumped up to come for the 100.
You appear to be peaking at the right time of the year. You've already provisionally qualified at this at 100 meters.
Yeah, 100, 10:37. Yeah. I guess this is a nice track.
It's a nice track, and you're enjoying yourself because ever since that anchor leg, you haven't taken a smile off of your face. This is pretty fun, isn't it?
It is. Yes, indeed, it is fun.
All right, Obinna, go get rested.
Thank you.
All right, congratulations once again. That was some 100 meters, wasn't it, guys?
It sure was, Drew. Obinna Iregbu of Iowa State. And here's the thing we talked about beforehand that we're being surprised about. Iowa State, their strength is the distances, but in the relay they win, and now in the 100-yard dash, 100-meter dash, I should say, he comes up with a victory here as well.
Well, you know, one of the things we can watch as they come out of the blocks one more time is just the fluidity of some of these athletes. And as you watch them progress their way down their particular lanes, Iregbu takes charge right now, and he doesn't release from this point forward. very impressive lead, and Nebraska needed some points out of this event. They get some, but they do not get what they thought they were probably going to get, and Aregbu is just coming up and challenging them in their face more than once in today's race.
Aregbu with a very fluid stride out there, and really has a good long stride for a 100-meter sprint.
I got to tell you something, you know, Drew alluded to this, but you know, the fun of track, and I can speak as an athlete that competed on the track for about 8 years, and I was talking to the great Frank Shorter, the Olympic gold medalist in the marathon, but a few weeks ago, he and I had to go to a track meet he was doing. I was just tagging along. He was going there to do autographs down at Fort Lauderdale. And when we were there, we were going along the track and talking to people, and the guy that was our host said, you know, you guys look like you're really having fun. I mean, this is just another track meet. It's not even a big deal track meet. And we said, this is track. We love it. And I think it surprised him, and I think that Obinna Aregbu of Nigeria is just sharing that moment with us as well.
Well, Aregbu now with his second gold medal of this championship, having anchored the 4x100-meter relay team to a surprising victory earlier on, and now the 100-meter dash title with a time of 10.37. Travis Grant from Nebraska is 1/10 back. Randolph finishes third. Ernest Green finishes fourth for Kansas State, and we'll have more from Lincoln, Nebraska when we return on Prime Network. Women's run, Daniela Vikanovic of Nebraska in lane 1, Linnell Miller in lane 2 from Oklahoma, Kathy Palacios from Kansas in lane 3, Amy Rodehaver from Kansas in lane 4, Mimi Walls, Iowa State lane 5, Lisa Graham, Nebraska lane 6, Val Sauer from Missouri in lane 7, and Edith Nagayingi in lane 8, and she is the person to watch. There is the collegiate record, the Big 8 mark of 2:03. Nagayingi with a 2:05.16 this year.
Well, I tell you what, you have 3 athletes that have already qualified for the NC2As. They're all under the national qualifying mark. And that is, of course, Edith Nagayingi from Iowa State. She's in lane 8. Lisa Graham, lane 6 from University of Nebraska. And watch out for Linnell Miller, University of Oklahoma, in lane 2. She's just a junior. They had a false start. They're bringing it back. We'll find out why.
Start, they're saying. AccuTrack malfunction.
Oh, that AccuTrack, it'll do it every time.
Well, part of the problem may be because of the wind and the sprints, they've been moving it back and forth from one end of the straightaway to the other for the timing, and sometimes when you jostle all that electronic equipment, it doesn't do exactly what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, it's sensitive equipment, and but these athletes do not object too much to that, although it's a little frustrating, but they don't object to it too much because it means the difference between success and failure when they get their times recorded for the NC2As. There's one of the officials. Getting ready again.
So we'll try it all one more time.
I was reminding you that Linnell Miller is somebody to watch, and of course Lisa Graham.
Lisa Graham in lane 6. Linnell Miller, who you see right there from the University of Oklahoma, running out of lane 2. And for Linnell Miller, her best time of the year, 2:05.85. So you've got 3 runners who have all run 2:05 this year.
Going to be very tight. Now, Linnell Miller has, that was her fastest time going in here, so she can be a real challenge. 2 laps on this 400-meter track.
And Linnell Miller off to a strong start, along with Lisa Graham. And Edith Nagayingi on the outside. And now moving in, and it's Miller, Graham, and Nagayingi running 1, 2, 3 on the backside.
Miller wearing number 1438.
Miller holding a nice even pace right now, and it seems at the moment that Lisa Graham and Edith Nagayingi are both content with sitting off her heels at the moment.
400 meters. And the time we're looking for is around 60 to 61 seconds. Right now they're 61, about 62.04. Now this is the bell lap.
And now Lisa Graham moving into second. Nagayingi right behind her. And Linnell Miller unable to keep up the pace.
Kick. And Lisa Graham knows that. So what Lisa Graham has to do is wear her out on the backstretch. It does not seem to be working. If she can hold her off through the final turn, she's got a shot at it. But it's likely that Najiingi will try to get around her before she gets into the turn. Because
and
she does
right now.
And there she goes. Lisa Graham now has to hold on to second place, because she knows that woman from Oklahoma is not far back. She's not going to look around and find out where she is, but she is about a second back from her.
And points are key for the Nebraska women.
Now let's watch the time, because remember, Edith Najiingi in her career has run almost a 2 flat. And we're right now 1:55 on the clock. She's going to be just over 2 minutes. This is going to be
really
a great time. This is one of the best times turned in. She's going to be 2:02.83 unofficially.
And unofficially, that is a new Big 8 record. 2:02.
The athletes at the national level, and with the NC2As coming up in Eugene in just a couple of weeks, and some of those last chance qualifying meets are coming up. But this athlete has run extremely well today. She's run 2 flat, 2:00.88. That's her best outdoor time ever, and she just approached that.
The senior from Kampala, Uganda, and there's a look at when she got past Lisa Graham on the turn 3 and really started stretching it out. And she holds 3 of the 4 fastest NCAA times ever run.
Running quickly here, and she held form, and that's a critical factor in the 800. As I told you, it's one of the most difficult races that you can run. And she looked back just once. But she knew she had this one. A great time, great performance by this Iowa State athlete.
And Drew Goodman has Edith Najiingi down below.
Yes, I do. When you crossed the finish line, you were pushing it at the end. You put your hands in the air. You wanted that Big 8 record, didn't you, in addition to winning 4 titles?
Yeah, I'm really pleased with that, because this is my last meet, and I wanted to do really good.
Edith, you've run 2 flat. How low can you go? You've been training very hard at 800 meters.
Yeah, I've been really working hard on this race so that I can run it much better. I found out last year my mistakes and my weaknesses in the race. So that's what I'm been mainly. This year I'm planning to run below 2 minutes.
Okay, good luck in Eugene.
Thanks so much.
All right. Iowa State proud senior Edith Najiingi winning 4 straight 800 meters in the Big 8 meet. Duke?
Thank you, Drew. And that makes her just the 6th athlete in Big 8 history on the women's side to win 4 consecutive titles in one event, as she has done in the 800. And you heard her say, I expect to get below 2 minutes this year.
Keep in mind that the collegiate record was set way back in '85, 1:58.33. She has a shot at that. Of course, the American record held by the University of Colorado's great athlete Mary Decker-Slaney back in '85. She ran, believe it or not, 1:56.9. And so Edith Najiingi, following in that tradition of the Big 8, has a shot at those times.
Well, her official time is 2:02.80. Lisa Graham finishes 2nd. Linnell Miller finishes 3rd. Taking a look at the team standings to date, Nebraska is beginning to lap the field. We'll be back with more Field Championships on Prime Network. And James Hall of Iowa State is a man to watch. But let's look at the lane assignments. Brett Carney from Iowa State in lane 1. Marlon Jones from Nebraska in 2. Joseph Kiptanui, pardon me, in Iowa State lane 3. Kevin Grover lane 4. James Hall in 5. Paul Kazi in 6. Jared Wilms in 7. And Milton Johns in lane 8.
And they're underway. And watch in lane 8, Milton Johns. He comes into this meet with a time of 1:48.68. And that was just a week ago. He is a fired-up athlete. Now let's watch as they go down that far stretch, and then they're going to break for the line. But he is the athlete you want to watch. And he moves right into 2nd place, just off the shoulder of the Iowa State athlete. And so Kiptanui.
Joseph Kiptanui from Iowa State, the freshman. A little jostling going on that turn as they come down the front stretch.
Of course, you got a Missouri athlete, Kevin Grover, sandwiched right in between. He's in high company right there. He'll let the other guys get in front. You've got a threesome of Iowa State out in front.
Joseph Kiptanui still holding on to that lead.
Right now you got Brett Carney, James Hall, Joseph Kiptanui still sharing the lead, and you got to watch Milton Johns. If he's going to make his move, he's going to have to do it soon, and he's trying to come up on the outside. He's going to have to work very, very hard to do it. He's got the leg speed to do it, and he's got the kick, but he doesn't want to let Kiptanui get away from him.
And Kiptanui is a very fluid stride, but Johns now really turning it on the
There
turn.
he is. You see him angling in. He tried to get him on the corner. Now he's going to have to wait. He's going to have to wait for about 50 meters until he comes off the corner. He's going to have to slingshot down the straightaway and hope that he can have a better kick than Kiptanui.
And the question is, can he restart the engine down the straightaway?
Well, he just started. I think he's just trying to fire it up, but Kiptanui wants this race badly. And there's no way that he can catch him now. And he's going to have to watch out. He's tying up. He's going to lose out to one of the Iowa State guys right there.
Kiptanui victorious, followed by James Hall.
Unofficially 149.2 on the clock. Came in with the second fastest time into this final race, a time of 149.16. He did that back in the middle of April, so he's got to be very pleased with that performance.
Not a national qualifying mark. The NCAA qualifying standard is 147.50. And here's a look from turn 2 on the second lap with Kiptanui holding on to the lead, and you saw Johns make the attempt coming down the backstretch, and right there on turn 3 tried to get by him as they made the corner, but Kiptanui turned it on, and that was really the key to the race right there.
It really was, and of course Iowa State's got to be very pleased. And Brett Carney of Iowa State hanging on, and he's going to try and pick up some points here as he comes. He swings very wide to try and get in there because James Hall now is behind the Missouri athlete. And see him how he ties up. I mean, that's where Milton Johns lost it, was when he tied up, he lost his fluidity, and that allows Kiptanui just to float away.
Andrew Goodman has our winner down on the track.
Okay, Duke, thanks very much. Joseph, on the final turn, Johns tried to get you. You felt it, and you were able to hold him off. Did you realize?
In the second lap, at 300 meters, then I had him running by me. And so I had to wait up to 200 meters because normally when I run at home stretch, that's where I usually die. And I was aiming at qualifying time.
How far can you go as far as in terms of this race? How much does it help you? Let me change that question. How much does it help you with all the great distance runners there are at Iowa State, training every day with them?
They helped me a lot because recently I was a 400-meter runner, and right now I'm still on transition to 800. And with the distance runners, they help me to build up the endurance.
Okay, Joseph, thanks very much. You noticed that 400-meter training paid off in the final 110 for Joseph Kiptanui.
All right, you know, one of the things he mentioned was he was trying to get an automatic qualifying time. He has a provisional qualifying time. He picked it up at the Dogwood Relays. He ran 149.16, and this Kenyan athlete is just a freshman. I mean, Iowa State has so many athletes to look forward to in the distance events, and this is one of them, just one of many.
And one thing to point out, you and I were discussing this before the meet today, is the number of international athletes that are coming into the collegiate ranks here. A larger picture involved with track and field in the U.S., isn't it?
I'm not faulting any coach for recruiting internationally because certainly there's a great deal of talent out there. But traditionally these international athletes are a little bit older, a little bit more skilled. They have more developed skills in terms of particularly the distance athletes. What that does, that's all a function of not having as many recruiting dollars available to them so that they can have developed athletes. And the American school system, the high school system, is shrinking in terms of the available number of track and field athletes. And so that feeder system to the national level is not working as well as it could.
So a 1-2 finish for Iowa State with Kiptanui with a 149.18, Brett Carney a 150.01, Milton Johns of Oklahoma finishes third, Jared Wilms of Missouri finishes fourth. And in the overall team standings, Iowa State beginning to get a little breathing room right now over Nebraska, but it's kind of a seesaw affair.
It really is, and Iowa State with the ability of having two athletes in first and second, that really popped their points. If they can hold that kind of thing, they can win this meet, but I don't know if they can do that.
But it goes back and forth. Nebraska's got a lot of sprint depth still to come, and we'll have more of that when we come back on Prime Network. Field Championships. We are all set for the women's 400-meter hurdles. Lane assignments: Kelly Reitazol of Iowa State in lane 1, Tranquil Wilson of Nebraska in 2, Maddie Williams in lane 3, Deborah Malone in lane 4, Susan Hedrick, the one to watch, in lane 5 from Nebraska, Margaret Sullivan from Kansas in lane 6, Sandra Govindan of Iowa State in lane 7, and Amy Hadley of Kansas in lane 8. There's a look at the collegiate and Big 8 marks along with the NCAA qualifying standard. And there is a look at Susan Hedrick, junior from the University of Nebraska.
Deborah Malone off her left shoulder. Just behind her, that's from Kansas State. Of course, Kelly Reitazol sitting up there in lane 1 was runner-up last year in this event.
Malone had the fastest qualifying time in 1:01:16, but Hedrick is out quickly.
Really comes down to technique and form in this. And of course,
Hedrick is just blowing away the field right now. And the question is, has she gone out too strong?
No, I don't think so. I think if my guess is correct, she wants to get under that 57.6. She's already qualified provisionally for the NC2As. I'm sure what her goal is to get a solid qualifying time. And in order to do that, she's going to get under 57.6.
Well, she hit that hurdle, and she's kind of messed up her steps a little bit. We'll see how she does down the straightaway.
She looks okay so far. Not as strong as she did a moment ago. Yeah,
Deborah Malone closing in on her now, and the question is, has Susan Hedrick run out of gas before the finish?
You were right. You were right. I think
neck and neck. And
you called it. Deborah Malone waited. Susan Hedrick going for time, tied up in the last 50 meters. Now, what may have happened was that earlier time when she hit that hurdle, that might have staggered her a little bit, but we need to see that again.
Susan Hedrick went out very strongly at the start, and on the backstretch came around the third turn.
Her form is good, still good. She looks strong. She's not tying up. Oh, no, she staggered her step right there. She missed her step. She missed her count.
And the real key to the intermediate hurdles is you've got to keep a regular step count all the way through.
And watch, Deborah Malone, she's in the hunt, and she knows it, and she's feeling strong. She's not tying up. She notices that Susan is tying up, and now it's a race to the finish. She doesn't want to lose this race. And the only thing she's left to do is to try and out-lunge her, and she couldn't do it.
Here's a look at the finish one more time, and you see them both lunging. Boy, I'll tell you what, she may have done it.
That's so close. From our angle, you couldn't see it until you had that cross shot. Now we just have to wait and see. But, congratulations to both athletes.
Let's take a look at that one more time. If Susan Hedrick wins this, it's because of the lunge at the tape, because Deborah Malone had her at this point. She's got a little bit of room in front of her, and all of a sudden, Hedrick looks like Malone leans a little too early.
Almost right.
And she did. I have a feeling that Hedrick,
I think you're right,
caught her at the tape because Malone tried to lean too early.
Now this is where you're glad you have photo timing. This is where you need it.
And that's Lisa Graham coming over to her right now, and I think she was telling her that you won.
I think Susan Hedrick got it.
And the difference in the clock doesn't get any closer than this. 58.18 to 58.19 is the difference between first and second, and Susan Hedrick winning the 400-meter hurdles title for women.
Oh, that was so close, and it was painful to watch. There was no question in our minds that there was a problem there for Susan Hedrick. She managed just to squeeze back into the lead right at the wire.
Wilson finishes third for Nebraska, picking up more points there. Let's go down to Drew Goodman for a moment. He's got a comment about that last race in the 400-meter hurdles for women.
Duke, I just talked to Susan, and she said two things. One, obviously hitting the hurdle threw her off stride. But secondly, and most importantly, she didn't realize Deborah Malone was that close. And you can understand it because on the backstretch, she was out in front of everybody by 10 meters. But Deborah Malone closed quickly, but Hedrick able to just get across the tape, and it was a photo.
All right, thank you, Drew Goodman. And now let's set up the men's 400-meter intermediate hurdles. Lee Marks of Oklahoma in lane 1. Steve Graham from Oklahoma State in lane 2. C.E. Johnson from Colorado in lane 3. Mark Jackson, the favorite, in lane 4 from Nebraska. Mark Eversden from Iowa State in lane 5. That should be a great battle right there in the middle of the track. Adrian Johnson from Kansas State in lane 6. Roberto Carmona of Colorado. The collegiate record. The track record here at the collegiate.
Now, under these conditions, and the wind's very calm right now. Those two athletes could work very well together under these conditions, and the wind's very calm right now. They could get a great time out of this race.
Eversden, a junior from Omaha, just down the road from Lincoln, but running for the colors of Iowa State, the Cyclones. So this should be a good matchup right in the middle. And as you said, he can kind of slingshot off of it.
It's a junior matchup. Last year, Mark Jackson was 4th, and Mark Eversden was 5th. And interestingly enough, Jackson's in lane 4, and Eversden's in lane 5.
Can you read something into that?
I think it may be prophetic about their finish, perhaps, but no, I don't think so.
Eversden, though, will not start from the down position in the blocks.
Now, that's fairly rare. He's comfortable starting like that. That's great. 1-9.
A clean start, and we'll see how they hit the first hurdle. Just about even, although Jackson making up a little room right now on Eversden.
He made up a bunch of room.
Well, he's going out strong.
Oh, my gosh. Now, let's see if he can hold it. There are 18 seconds on the clock right now.
The question once again is, has he gone out too strong?
He's stretching it out. He still looks okay, but he looks like he's starting to tie up just a little bit.
And Eversden knows he has a lot of room to make up, but he's got the straightaway to do it. And you can see Jackson
still running well, but it's going to be Jackson.
And C.E. Johnson closing in on second.
Eversden will hold him off.
Jackson with the victory at about 50.80. We'll see how it finishes up with an official time, but very close to the NCAA qualifying standard.
Great race. I guess his strategy worked well.
Take a look at it on the replay, and you're going to see him after the first turn look and go right by Eversden.
Whoa, he just smoked right down that far straightaway. I mean, he shocked Eversden and almost threw Eversden off stride at that point. Then he had to recover, regroup, and start going after it.
And it's right here where he starts to tie up.
And as Jackson starts to tie up, Eversden starts to close for a moment. But then somehow Eversden started to tie up as well.
And while Jackson's form doesn't look that strong coming down the straightaway, he was able to gut it out.
And of course, you're right that C.E. Johnson, University of Colorado, was coming up on Eversden's left shoulder.
That may have been a 49. May have been a 49 something. We'll see. But let's go down to Drew Goodman on the track.
Okay, got Mark Jackson with me. Mark, there was some concern as far as watching it that you might have gone out too strong. Did you feel that you went out too hot?
Well, I know that my starts were better than the rest of the fellows in the field, although everyone else was pretty good. But I had to get out because I had to run my own race. That's how I knew I could win it and get a PR.
Relatively new to this event. You didn't even run it in high school, did you?
No, I never even hurdled or went over a hurdle until I got to college. And I did the mistake a lot of people do. When the coaches asked me to run it, I ran a bit too good my first time. So they said, well, you're now a 4 hurdler. So I don't run any more 400s, not that often at least.
You might be headed to Eugene. That's not all that bad.
It's not bad at all.
All right, enjoy it, Mark. Thanks very much. Duke, let's go back to you.
And it's down an outstanding run by Mark Jackson, unofficially 49.90.
That puts him probably in the top 5 or 6 times in the United States going into the NC2As, and he's got to be very, very happy with that time. That puts him up with the big men in this sport.
And he said, I ran it once and ran it too well the first time, and I made that mistake. Coach has left me there now, and it looks like a good place to be stuck.
Evidently, he did just the right thing, and no discredit at all to to Everston or to C.E. Johnson from University of Colorado. Both ran great races. This man just ran a brilliant race.
So the official time gives Mark Jackson a sub 50-second time with 49.99. Mark Everston finishes second. Steve Graham third. Lee Marks of Oklahoma finishes fourth. And we'll be back on Prime Network.
Pontiac.
Hurry to Livingston Pontiac in Woodland Hills today.
The 200-meter dash for women is up next in the Big 8 Outdoor Track and Field Championships. And the University of Nebraska is looking at the possibility of a 1-2-3 sweep here. Lane assignments: Chanel Porter in lane 1. Marilyn Reynolds of Oklahoma in lane 2. Kwani Stewart from Nebraska in lane 3. Markia Jones of Kansas State in 4. Denise Lucas in lane 5 from Nebraska. Jimena Restrepo of Nebraska in 6. Kim Walker, the 100-meter dash winner, in lane 7. And Tanisha Davis of Oklahoma in lane 8. But look for Lucas, Restrepo, and Walker. Markia Jones for Kansas State needs to get in there for the Wildcats just so she can break up that point total.
Yeah, she's got to play the role of the spoiler. She's got a 23.8 to her credit, but we're looking at 23.24 for Jimena Restrepo, 23.27 for Kim Walker. Kim Walker is riding high now as the 100-meter champion. It's going to be anybody's guess how this is going to work out, but I would say you're right. They could get a 1-2-3.
Record at 22.45. The NCAA qualifying standard of 23.28. Restrepo ran a 23.24 in the preliminaries. There's a look at her right now. Kim Walker was in the same preliminary heat. She ran a 23.27. But in this race, Restrepo will have the advantage of running behind Walker in the stagger.
And Restrepo, remember, ran 51.25 to win the 400-meter dash just earlier. So she's got to be a little bit tired, or she's got to be nice and loose. I take your choice. But I think, you know, she's got great comfort knowing her other teammates are there. What they don't want to do is let someone like Markia Jones from Kansas State ruin the point total for them in this particular event, because that's where the duel is.
And there's a look at Denise Lucas, the third part of that Nebraska trio that will start in lanes 5, 6, and 7. And of course, Chanel Porter is over in lane 1 for the Cornhuskers. So they've really got a chance of piling up some points here.
Major points at stake right here in the women's 200-meter dash.
And because of the wind, they have shifted the start here to the front stretch. The finish line will be on the back stretch, the far corner of the track from us.
So they'll have wind at their back down that final straightaway. You can see the streamers. We can see the streamers blowing in that direction right now. The gun is up and set.
And a clean start. Restrepo out strong once again.
Remember watching lanes 5, 6, and 7, and watching lane 4 to be the spoiler.
And Markia Jones, but on the outside, Kim Walker pulling away from Jimena Restrepo. And Kim Walker looking for the double in the 100 and 200 will get it.
And I'll tell you what, you end up with Markia Jones, I believe, in third. So she did pick up some points.
Kim Walker, a double winner.
That's a major crown.
You can look at the smile on her face right there. Here's a look at it a second time, and Restrepo out to a strong start in the first 100 meters, but right now is when you see Walker start to kick it in. Coming off the turn, she just slingshots her way down there.
And Markia Jones staying off her shoulder, trying desperately to get in front of Restrepo, who looks like she's tying up, and yet she just keeps moving strongly to the front.
And it's a real question as to whether Markia Jones or Denise Lucas took third over there. Lucas tried to make the lean, and we'll have to wait and see what the final results are there. And here's a look at those final results. Kim Walker, 22.57. Jimena Restrepo, 22.92. Lucas finishes third. Jones finishes fourth, but five
out of the top 6 positions filled by Nebraska. You know, Kansas State, we thought that if they could just plug away at some of these events, they'd get some points, but it's surprising.
All standings, the boat is swamped as far as the rest of the Big 8 is concerned. Nebraska is running away with the women's title with 159 points. We'll be back with more of the track and field. Before we get started with that, let's go down to the track, and Drew.
Okay, thanks very much, Duke. When Gary Pepin of Nebraska goes recruiting, he goes globally. They have an international flavor. They have 8 athletes from different countries, from foreign countries. Canada is represented, 2 athletes from Singapore. Thomas Molnar is from Hungary. He is a 2-time All-American. Colombia. So it is indeed an international flavored Nebraska track team. Back to you, Duke.
Thank you very much, Drew. Gary Pepin, in his 11th year, he is both the men's and women's coach here. Of course, has coached the women's team to 10 straight outdoor titles. The men have 3 outdoor titles, 2 in a row. Let's take a look at the lane assignments. Molnar, who Drew was talking about, is in lane 1 here in the 200-meter finals. Dave Knight of Iowa State in lane 2. Todd Long in lane 3 from Oklahoma. Timmy Thomas from Oklahoma State in lane 4. James Cobb from Nebraska in 5. Jason Rouser from Oklahoma in lane 6. John Gerber from Nebraska in 7. And Travis Grant of Nebraska is in lane 8. And the best time in the preliminaries came from Cobb at 20.80, but Gerber and Rouser were at 20.81. Molnar at 21.05. And Molnar, there's a good look at him right now. He was the outstanding male performer in this meet last year, but as we said, and as we looked at him in that 400, he doesn't seem to be 100%.
Maybe not 100%. The trouble with his hamstring, he was defending champion, 20.64 last year. We'll see how he can do today. Jason Rouser comes in with a time of 20.5.
On a false start, Timmy Thomas came out of the block strong for Oklahoma State, and that'll do him in.
Maybe a little bit too strong.
Here's a look at that start. And Thomas just blows out early.
Oh, gosh. He'll be disappointed with that. He's not happy about something. Came into this with a 21.09.
I think Thomas is trying to say that he heard something else, and that's what he keyed off of.
Unfortunately, he was the only athlete that went.
And now it appears that the officials are asking. We'll try and listen to it one more time and see if we can just hear the sound that he says he may have heard.
On your mark, set.
I didn't hear anything to key it, and not a happy man, but Timmy Thomas is out of this race, and now everybody else back in the blocks. And
he is not a happy guy.
Watch for James Cobb in lane 5 and Jason Rouser in lane 6. It could be a battle right there.
Yeah, Timmy Thomas thought he heard a click, and none of the other runners could confirm that. None of the other judges could, and that's why he was eliminated.
There's another false start. That was lane 3, I think.
That was Todd Long from Oklahoma. Out of the blocks early in lane 3. You'll see him.
I don't know what he did. I don't know what he heard. He knows he did it wrong. Now what's going to happen is you get gun shy out there, and what happens is you got to sit in your blocks, and that can slow your reaction time considerably, and that's the anxiety producing part of this race. Now all these guys, adrenaline is flowing big time out there right now.
And Drew, let's go down to you one more time.
Timmy Thomas walked over to the starter and said, "That's exactly what I heard," which is a natural comment to have. You know, if 2 people have a case, you certainly have a better chance of better foundation with which to argue. But both the Oklahoma sprinter and the Oklahoma State sprinter have now been eliminated, and Timmy Thomas is still arguing his case on the infield.
And that's now leaving 4 Nebraska sprinters in the 6 still in this field. So heavy points will come for the Cornhuskers in this race.
You never like to see athletes go out this way, but unfortunately it happens. Timmy Thomas is very upset. He is extraordinarily upset, and Oklahoma State did not send a full contingent to this meet, so every athlete is extremely important to them. But what he needs to do is regroup. Since it's happened, there's nothing he can do about it. He's just going to have to mellow out and get on with the rest of the meet.
And almost a false start by Travis Grant out in lane 8. You saw him move, but hold on.
I'll tell you, that's very scary stuff.
James Cobb. But boy, we're going to have a great finish. Coming up in the middle is Rouser.
You can look at Rouser. Oh, he knew it too.
And Rouser just blew away the field, and you saw the arm movement. He had the arms really pumping as he went down the backstretch.
Gosh, he has an incredible stride, and he knows it. He's almost cocky. He's so sure of himself out there.
A great run by Jason Rouser of Oklahoma.
In lane 6, you see them go out.
And he gets really a bad start compared to everybody else.
Well, actually, I think what happened was that Cobb got just a great start. And now Rouser's making it up on everybody, and then he just fights his way through, and gosh, with that open-handed, pumping stride, he just hammers, wins it. I mean, he should concentrate on finishing rather than winning.
Yeah, he pumped the hand up a full 2 strides before he got to the finish line, and that certainly cost you time.
I was just going to say, I mean, if he's going for time, that's kind of a silly way to do it, but on the other hand, he can't argue with his victory.
Let's go down on the field now to Drew Goodman.
Duke, I think back to 400 meters, he said, you know, when I get to that final 100 meters, I don't look around because I know nobody on the track can beat me. And that final 80, 100 meters, it was definitely so again in the 200-meter dash back upstairs.
All right, well, that cocky attitude, which you really need if you're an athlete. The great athletes, you don't call it cockiness so much, you call it confidence, but they have that cocky swagger and that feeling that when they get into position that they want to be in a race, they know they can win from that point on.
Well, certainly he had that ability, and this young junior from Lawton, Oklahoma, is probably a man to be reckoned with, and with the way he's running, if he continues to perform at this level, you know, he's one of these guys that could actually have a shot at the 200 meters, not only at the NC2As, but he could get maybe into onto the national team for the Olympic trials.
Well, with a time of 20.45, Rouser is really at the point now where you either stagnate a little bit or you move into the elite field.
Well, I think he can make that choice now after the NC2As, which I'm sure he's going to. Then he can go to the national championships in June, and then from there he can work toward next year for the U.S. Olympic trials, because this guy's got a future in track.
Let's take a look at the standings, and they have tightened up once again. This is really a rock'em sock'em affair. One of the Nebraska assistant coaches earlier today said it's going to be one of those things where it's like each round one of us takes a blow and takes some leather to use its coverage of the Big 8 Outdoor Track and Field Championships. We move now to the women's field events, where in the triple jump, Joanne Gomez of Nebraska won it with a leap of 40 feet 10 1/4 inches.
All right, and just as you're watching her complete her jump, great jump, it's almost a shame that Jackie Smiley of Oklahoma was not able to defend her crown of 1990.
40 feet 6 inches. Her final leap. Cassie Bryant of KU finishes third. In the high jump, Chris Hall of Nebraska with a leap of 6 feet 1/2 inch comes away with the championship, knocking off defending champ Carol Damon of Colorado.
I really expected Carol Damon of Colorado, who's got 6 feet 3 inches under her belt right now, to be a challenger here and to move on to the Nationals with that kind of a jump, but it wasn't to be today.
Damon finishes in second, 5 foot 10 inches, and the rest of those jumpers all finishing down lower because of more misses. In the shot put, it was Angie Miller of Kansas State who wins her second championship of this meet, 49 feet 8 1/4 inches.
Very strong and gifted athlete, a lot of talent there, a lot of desire.
So Angie Miller, a double winner. She picks up a victory in the discus and now in the shot put, and wins by over a foot over Tina Hergott of Nebraska, Chanel Stiers of Kansas State, and Flanagan of Kansas State as well. The Wildcats are always very strong in the women's shot put.
Well, and she's improved her distance over last year's victory.
16:22.08. Kay Gooch finishes at 16:22.20, and Karen Glarum of Iowa State at 16:22.77. So 3 runners at a 5,000-meter race to all finish within a second of each other. Very strong.
You can throw a blanket over them. This is better than 100 meters, and I have to admit that Juliet Prowse has come a long way in a short time. That's just her second 5,000-meter race.
Well, see, she certainly surprised herself with her performance today. Now let's take a look at the women's team standings. Nebraska is just dominating the field now with their 198 point total. Kansas State in second. And we'll be back with the men's field events when we return on Prime Network. All the action. Let's move to the men's field events. In the high jump, it was R.D. Cogswell of Kansas State with a winning leap of 6 feet 10 3/4 inches. Not a outstanding height, but then nobody in the field could really get going today and get that body over the 7-foot barrier.
Well, you know, this guy has gone 7 feet 2 inches, and I really thought that he was going to go over that today. A lot of punching there with a height of 6 feet 10 3/4 inches.
Scott Benson from Iowa State second. Tom Dunham from the Cyclones is third. Tyson Smith of Nebraska is fourth. And Colorado picking up fifth and sixth with Brett Vaughn and Mark McDonald. In the shot put, Lance Lewis of Nebraska with a toss of 58 feet 3 inches. Spins around and sends it out there, and that was good enough for the victory. And more points for the Cornhusker men. He says, hey, that's all right. I can take that.
Really surprised that Chris Vogano didn't raise up higher in the standings. Really expected him to go over 57 feet today.
Rick Lyle of Missouri finishes second with a toss of 57.3. Andy Meyer of Nebraska picks up a fourth. In the triple jump, it was Desmond Hunt of the Cyclones with a leap of 51 feet 7 1/4 inches.
Great form as he goes down the runway. You watch him. Everything has to be perfect. Steps great. Good extension. Good follow through. Excellent landing.
Singh Bandith of Nebraska finishes second with a leap of 49 feet 8 1/4 inches. Chad Muma of Nebraska finishes third. In the pole vault, Pat Manson of Kansas with a leap of 17 feet 5 1/2 inches. He went for 18.2, didn't get it today, but you can see he's got the talent. Look at him clearing it right there. And it's interesting to note that the pole vault was moved from Sunday to Monday for Pat Manson. He wanted to attend his graduation yesterday in Lawrence. He had a 3.6 grade point average in mechanical engineering. Jason Lavender of Kansas finishes second, tied with Jeff McGaw of Oklahoma. Three laps to go in the men's 5,000-meter run. And the man you are looking at is John Nuttall, who is in the lead and working his way by. And he's got a lead of about 15 meters over his teammate, Jonathan Brown, who finished ahead of him in the 1,500 meters.
He did. But remember, Nuttall is the defending champion in this event. Last year ran 14:31, which was a fairly easy time for him. This year, these guys are running a little harder because there's a lot more at stake. There are some scoring issues here.
And the scoring is, of course, in the team title. Iowa State came out with 7 runners at the front of the pack. Lance Elliott led until 8 laps remaining and then dropped out. Spencer Duvall then dropped out after holding the lead for 1 more lap. And there is David Itefa, freshman from the University of Nebraska from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
Now there's 2 guys right behind him. Iowa State's got Roland Powell, who last year was runner-up to John Nuttall in this event. And right behind him is their teammate from Iowa State, Ian Robinson. And he's been hanging on.
You saw Nuttall just a moment ago as he came down the front stretch there. He worked his way through the slower pack that he was lapping. Instead of going around, he kind of went through the middle and he kind of shoved a couple of guys aside and said, get out of my way.
Well, that's right. You know, courtesy in track dictates that you give him the inside lane. And he's a little bit going for time. And that's what he's saying. He's talking to them right now, and the guys are getting the word. And that's a courtesy thing. Otherwise, you know, the rules say that you just got to make your way around. But the fact is, as a great athlete, you should allow him to take the inside lane. And he is going for time today. Now, his teammate, Joanna Koech, who's got a time of 13:36 coming into this thing, is not in the race. We expected him to perhaps not be in the race because he'd won the 10,000. He's done a lot of work today already. So we anticipated that he would not be in. But Iowa State hoping to get 5 of the top 6 positions. Whether they can do it or not, we'll have to wait and see. We're at 12:33 on the clock right now. We got less than 2 minutes left in this race.
John Nuttall, the senior from Iowa State, now has a lead of about 30 to 40 meters, almost 40 meters now over Jonathan Brown. And the bell lap as John Nuttall crossed at that last lap mark at about 2:50 or the 12:54.
I was just going to say, now he is capable of running a sub 60-second quarter. We watched him do that earlier, and he could do that again right now. He is definitely going for time. If everybody is through the lane. John Brown behind him.
And here's Nuttall coming around the third turn, and he is running very smoothly as he heads into that final turn and the home stretch.
John Nuttall is racing around that final turn. He is going for time. We're right now 13:30 on the clock. He is within 30 seconds of the finish line. He could very well get a time under 14 minutes.
He's got a good chance, and he's really turning it on.
He will get it. He'll get a great time here. Great time.
13:46 unofficially.
Yeah, 13:46.4. Congratulations to him. Let's take a look at
Jonathan Brown.
He finishes up in 13:55. Great performances. Two great Iowa State distance athletes finishing up.
And here, the battle for third, Prowse.
Howells, look at the kick he put on.
And Atefa trying to hold on for fifth position.
He shocked Atefa. He shocked him. He is so happy. 14:18 for him.
A 1-2-3 finish for Iowa State.
Unbelievable. Oh, that, you know, the guy that made the biggest difference in that race just then, to credit John Nuttall and to credit Jonathan Brown, was Roland Powell. He picked up critical points right there. And he is wasted.
And that was in a straight head-to-head matchup with a Nebraska runner.
Oh,
so that's even more important points.
Yeah, he jumped him on that final turn. He jumped him. What a gutsy finish by Roland Powell of Iowa State.
And he's paying for it right now. But as you saw when he crossed the finish line, he was a happy man.
Watch Powell as he comes down this final straight. He is hammering. He is sprinting. He looks back once, knows he's got the guy, looks back twice. He's sure of it. Now all he's doing is just trying to finish up. Oh, one more time. He's got to
make sure.
And he knows it. He is just, it's just as if he won the race because he got so many points for his team.
And here's a look at our champion in the 5,000 meters.
Smooth as silk. This guy's going on to the NC2As.
Really an impressive set of running by both the first and second place finishers in Nuttall and Brown, because they really teamed up for the majority of the race. They stayed together. They switched the lead a couple of times. And then when it was his turn and when he felt strongest, he moved away and pulled away for the exceptional time.
Looked like a NC2A cross-country team out.